The indigenous people are the Kanak, and they were enslaved, they were sold, they were blackbirded, they were forced into reservations, and they were discriminated against with a kind of French-type apartheid for over, a century and a half. Now, at the end of World War II, the French refused to let go of their colonies as the rest of the world was decolonizing. And it maintained an apartheid regime in many of these Pacific and Melanesian islands. What happened in 1967 was there was a socialist national liberation movement. This is the Front National de Libération du Kanak et Socialiste. And this was repressed in a way not unlike what the French did to Algeria, with incredible brutality. They tortured and killed off most of its leaders, often in very brutal ways. And in the 1980s, this became so extreme that it hit the level of a civil war. The entire region was on the verge of a civil war. And as a result, the French were forced to accommodate some of the Kanak demands. So Nouvelle-Calédonie was given a little bit greater autonomy within the French colonial system. It's what they refer to as sui generis. It didn't have the same administrative structure, a little bit more autonomy than the other French colonies. And the most important piece of this was the Matignon Agreement of 1988. And this, among other things, promised a referendum on independence within 10 years in exchange for calm. That promise was not kept. France betrayed that promise. In fact, they did everything they could to undermine it over a period of 10 years. So in the US, we have a saying, justice delayed is justice denied. Well, this is exactly what happens. And so because of this, mass, devastation from COVID, they requested that France delay the referendum until the following year. The French said no. In fact, they actually saw it as an opportunity, and they pushed through the referendum in December. And as a result, the loyalists won 96.5% of the vote. And the French were very, very aware of what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. Macron knew what he was doing. What Macron has proposed, and which the French legislature has passed, is that this would unfreeze the electorate, allowing new immigrants from France and from Europe to become part of the electorate. In fact, it's estimated that about 24,000 new, let's call them who they are, colonists, 24,000 colonists would be allowed to vote in any future election or in any future referendum. That essentially seals the deal. And what that does is it's almost an echo of the 1870s, when France imported 22,000 colonists into Nouvelle-Calédonie. Macron is looking at an extraordinary, difficult situation right now. But I believe that he and his coteries are strongly committed to suppressing and tamping down any rebellion and any future move towards independence, because the French are still wedded to their imperial and colonial traditions. France broke its promises in the Matignon Accord, and then they rigged the referendum to their favor, and now they want to reconstruct the electorate, essentially gerrymander it to prevent the chance of any independence. France controls immigration to New Caledonia. It doesn't have independence in security, in immigration, in military, in foreign affairs, etc. I think in the short term, the French will suppress this with great violence. I believe that Macron is desperate. I think they're desperate to shore up some of the, kind of their own multinational interests in New Caledonia. So this is a powder keg that has been building for at least 3 or 4 decades. How will they keep that quiet? So they will try and control the media that's coming out of there, and I think they are hoping that they can suppress it without too much attention. The Baku Initiative Group that was formed last year. This is a powder keg that has been building for at least 30 years. And the desire, the movement for independence goes back at least to the 1960s. And so I think it's really ridiculous to blame other countries when these are all issues that can be laid on the doorstep of France.